James, in your presentation this morning, you went through the use case, the applications for energy storage. One of the things you brought up was the implications for batteries coming out of electric vehicles in 10 years' time, being reused into the energy system. That was fascinating. Can you explain more about that?
Yeah, so we're seeing a huge take-up in electric vehicles, and over the next 5 or 10 years, we're anticipating a very large number of electric vehicles coming online. But the question is, after 3 or 4 or 5 years of use, a typical electric vehicle battery will have less charge and be less useful.
Right.
So the question we thought is, what happens if those batteries are recycled, rather than being recycled and dismantled, recycled and used as stationary static batteries to help the power system?
Okay.
And the implication is that their cost is very low. They've already been used, they've already been paid for,
Right.
they're very, very cheap. So what happens if all these cheap batteries reappear in the power system to help balance the power?
Ah, okay.
And the answer is, they completely flatten electricity prices. So rather than lots of volatility in electricity prices generated by renewables, all these cheap batteries, and we're talking hundreds of gigawatts
coming
of
back in.
batteries across Europe coming back in, those can act to flatten electricity prices. And by flattening electricity price, of course, they really kill the business model for any actual battery storage that's coming in.
So if I'm looking to invest in battery storage for the next 10, 15 years, what advice do you give to people on this?
It's a tricky one because we know that the business model for the next 4 or 5 years is looking quite compelling.
Okay.
There's rising renewables, there's rising requirements for flexibility, but at the same time sitting out there is there's a potentially very large amount of flexibility from recycled batteries that could come back into the market and kill your returns. So I guess the answer to people is the business model has got to be compelling for the shorter period of time, the next 4 or 5 years, because there is genuine uncertainty beyond that as to what might happen in terms of flexibility.
Let's see what the future brings.
Absolutely.
Fascinating. It was a great angle. Thank you.
Pleasure.